Welcome to The Explainer. So, that big AI project you're thinking about, is it going to be a brilliant investment or is it just really expensive hype? Today, we're going to break down a framework to help you figure that out so you can make the right bet. So, it seems like everyone is rushing to adopt AI, right? It's all the rage. But here's the thing, not every project actually pays off. You've got way too many companies just pouring resources into these big initiatives without a clear financial plan. And what happens? They end up creating money pits instead of real assets. So the huge question is, how do you tell the difference before it's too late? Well, the good news is it's not about just crossing your fingers and hoping for the best. It's not about luck at all. The key, really, is having a disciplined process for calculating your return on investment, or ROI. When you do that, you turn what feels like a high-stakes gamble into a smart, calculated, strategic bet. So let's walk through exactly how to do it. All right, let's get right into it. Step one. This is all about sizing up the payoff, understanding the upside. Before you even think about costs, you've got to have a crystal clear picture of what you actually stand to gain. What's the big prize you're really trying to win here? And look, these potential benefits, they can't just be fuzzy, vague ideas. They have to be quantified. We're not talking about just making things better. No way. We're talking about putting an actual dollar value on time saved by your team. We're talking about calculating the precise reduction in error rates or projecting the exact increase in customer conversions. And of course, to do any of that, you first need a solid baseline. You have to know where you are right now to measure how far you've come. Okay, so we've sized up the potential payoff. That's the exciting part. But now we have to look at the other side of the equation, the cost. And honestly, this is where so many projects completely go off the rails. Because that initial build cost, that's usually just the tip of the iceberg. And that's exactly why you have to think in terms of the total cost of ownership. You'll hear people call it TCO. Look at this chart. Sure, model development is a big piece of the pie, but it's not the whole thing, not by a long shot. You've got infrastructure, you've got data acquisition, and then, and this is the critical part, you have all the long-term costs. We're talking about things like monitoring for what's called model drift. That's when the AI's performance actually gets worse over time and you have to retrain it. Trust me, forgetting about these ongoing costs is the fastest way to absolutely blow your budget. So after all that, it really boils down to this one simple but incredibly powerful formula. You take your quantified benefits, the numbers we talked about, subtract the total cost, that's your net benefit. Then you just divide that by the total cost, and bam, the result is a nice, clear percentage. That's your return on investment. Okay, so you've got your numbers. Now what? Let's move to the next step, which is all about building a persuasive argument. Because look, having the numbers is one thing, but you have to package them into a compelling business case if you want to get the resources and, just as important, the buy-in you need from your stakeholders. Think of it this way. This isn't just you asking for money. It's an evidence-backed justification for a strategic move. You're starting by clearly defining the problem. Then you present your AI solution. You lay out all the costs, and you project a timeline for when this whole thing will pay for itself. And here's a really critical part. You also have to assess the risks and show that you've thought about other options, even non-AI approaches. This is how you prove that your project isn't just a cool piece of tech, but that it's strategically aligned with the company's biggest goals. All right, this next part is so important. Before a single line of code gets written, before a single model is trained, you absolutely must define how you're going to keep score. You've heard the saying, right? If you can't measure it, you can't manage it. And you certainly can't prove its value later on. Success has to be measurable right from day one. So a really strong measurement framework is going to use a mix of metrics. On one hand, you have your hard financial KPIs, things like the ROI percentage we calculated, the payback period, and something called net present value, which basically just accounts for the time value of money. But on the other hand, you also need the operational metrics. These are the things that actually drive those financial results. Reducing how long a process takes or making things more accurate by dropping error rates. You absolutely need both to tell the complete story of your AI's real impact. Okay, after all the analysis, all the numbers, all the planning, it's the moment of truth. It's time to lay all your cards on the table for the people who make the final call. This final step is where it all comes together. You're presenting a totally transparent financial analysis, a clear side-by-side comparison of the projected costs versus all those expected benefits. And what this does is it empowers the executives to make a truly informed, data-driven go or no-go decision, a decision that's based on solid numbers, not just buzz and hype. And here's a really powerful tool you can use in this final analysis: scenario modeling. Take a look at this. By showing the potential ROI in a best case, an expected case, and even a worst case scenario, you help your stakeholders understand the full spectrum of risks and rewards. It's a fantastic way to manage expectations and prove that you've really thought through what could go right and, just as importantly, what could go wrong. So let's just recap real quick. By following these 5 steps, from sizing up the benefits all the way to that clear cost-benefit analysis, you can finally move past all the hype. This framework gives you a process to make confident, strategically sound decisions about AI, decisions that are actually aligned with real business value. So in this age of AI, the smartest decision isn't just about picking the coolest technology. It's about doing the math first. This 5-step framework, it gives you the path. It turns what feels like a risky gamble into a smart, strategic investment. It makes sure that when you place a bet on AI, you're doing it with the best possible odds of success. So the only real question left is your organization ready to do the math?